All right, welcome to the first album review, or at least for me. This is like my very first one. Never did it before. So we're going to see how it works out. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Will, also known as Sikram Lamaj. So if you see any music by me, this is the face. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get right into this thing. So we're looking at Genesis by Omego Melodies. Omego Melodies, I've actually known him a pretty long time, pretty much all the way through college. We used to sing in a singing group together, and we toured, and like we weren't like famous or anything, but you know, we were going some places. But you know how college works. You go to school, eventually you get caught up in other stuff, and it just kind of falls off. But anyway, we're gonna talk about his project today. Omego Melodies. I know him as JD, so if you hear me say JD, that's because I've known him for like ever. But my bro, this was his first project, and he called it Genesis. His cover was actually pretty nice. I don't know who did the cover, but the cover's pretty good. Pretty solid start for a first project. So I will say right off the bat that I was pretty surprised with this project. It was solid, actually. And for me, when I say solid, I mean like everything was cohesive. I could tell that you worked really hard on this project. I didn't hear, I mean, there were a couple things that I heard here and there that were kind of questionable, and most of the time it was in terms of like sonically, or when it came to like stuff like mixing and maybe certain things in the beats, but we're gonna get through to all that stuff. Without further ado, so I'm gonna give like an overall rating from A to F, of course, and then I'm rating project cohesiveness, the engineering overall, the lyrics. Are the hooks catchy? Do they make sense? Do the verses make sense with the hooks? Stuff like that. Overall producing, i.e. like the beats. I'm gonna tell you my favorite song. The strongest song on the project, because they're not really the same. And then I'm going to give you my weakest song, or the song I thought was the weakest. And I'm also going to tell you what surprised me on this project. Project cohesiveness, an A. I gave it an A. When you think about the cover and you think about all the songs and the order of which they went, they all made sense when it came to the cover, what you were trying to convey, which to me, it showed like 3 different personalities of yourself, and basically explaining, I guess, showcasing or showing us each of those personalities in the project in different ways. And I thought it was really cool how you did that, utilizing other artists, because it's one thing to do it, just by yourself. But when you have other artists and you're able to navigate them in the direction that you want to go while also showcasing their talents, it actually kind of shows for strong potential, and it shows that to an extent you know what you're doing, and you knew what you were doing as you were doing this project. So good job on that. Cohesiveness, A. Like it. Engineering. So apparently the engineers were, of course, JD himself, Omego Melodies, and then another brother for his team named Theo. I can't remember his name right now. It's gonna come back to me. If it comes back to me, I'm gonna mention it by the end of this video. Engineering overall, I gave it a C. I could hear that you guys had some really good ideas, especially in the mixing, as far as like different delays and reverbs and stuff like that. But overall, it just didn't quite sound professional in the sense of ready to go to the radio right now. It sounded like on every song somewhere, maybe let's say hypothetically, if you sent it to a professional mixing engineer and they mixed it, the project as a whole would have actually probably turned out a lot better as far as how it sounded. And I'm personally a guy that's big on sounds. But a C, I don't say that's bad, especially if you're like self-taught and stuff like that. Little things that can help grades on engineering. A lot of times it's just the mic you're using, the room you're recording in, things of that sort. Because the mic, it sounded cheap, but it sounded like it made sense in terms of where you are right now with your music and how all the beats sounded. So in that sense, it was actually an A. But when you think about the grand scope of like music and music that's put out and stuff that people listen to. Yeah, so lyrics, A. I liked it. I borderline loved it. All of the hooks were strong. Even if you didn't like the song itself, the hook stood out. And so you can remember every single hook. So producing, I gave it a B. It would have been an A going back to the engineering thing. Not every beat sounded like a unit in terms of the project as a whole. Like beat wise, it sounded almost like a mixtape. But when you think about the songs themselves and what you were trying to convey, I wanted to call it an album. So yeah, the producing, I liked pretty much all the beats. The very first beat, like the one before there was any speaking, it definitely set the tone. And all the songs after that really made sense, and I could actually hear the hard work put into them. My favorite song was actually I'm the One, and that's the song, JD, that you did by yourself, as far as I know. I don't know who did backgrounds, but as far as like actual like songs are concerned, I knew that was like your song. That was my favorite song. The singing was pretty good. I hope you continue singing so you can kind of get into the flow of how you like to sound when you're recording, because I know that's important. I'm not sure if you have any like insecurities as far as your voice goes, but if you do, keep recording because you sound good. You sound like you have a lot of potential, but I can tell you're a producer in the sense that I would have actually had another artist sing that song. Even though I liked your voice as an artist, I would have put someone else on it. But that's just me. As a producer, I would have put someone else on the song, but it was a solid song. That was my favorite song. The strongest song was actually a tie. So it was a tie between I'm the One, which I just talked about, and then the other one was When I Write. And When I Write, that was a one, I think you said it was Corey Donay and Mari Mar. It was probably the most solid track I heard overall. All the mixing made sense. The artists made sense, and I'm gonna get to the artists later because I want to kind of pick out some things that specifically that stood out to me as far as the artists go. But yeah, those were the strongest songs. The weakest song, okay, Studio Shenanigans with KJ, and honestly, this one kind of let me down. I have to be quite honest. It thrown together to me, like I know it seemed like you went in there, turned on the mic and recorded, which, you know, it's a freestyle of Shenanigans, I get it. But when I think about the spectrum of how good this album was sounding, how cohesive it was sounding musically up to this point, it was so good. And then it's like this last track was a slap in the face. So, you know, even if you said that, you know, let's say you went from the view that it's a bonus track. Well, it was a crappy bonus track. But if you just wanted to throw something out, like in terms of, you know, here's another way to look at it. In the grand scheme of the album spectrum, I don't have the cover right in front of me, but I think there's a picture of like a figure with their shirt off and stuff like that. When you take that into consideration, the song makes more sense, or the track makes more sense to show kind of like more of your quote unquote playful side. But I didn't like it in terms of a project because to me, it kind of put the cherry on my general thought of it being, I guess you as an artist, producer, or whatever, being immature. And as a producer, this kind of made me want to take you as a joke. And I'm talking about this last track, Studio Shenanigans. And I know y'all like to joke around, I'm sure, and things of that sort. But when it comes to the seriousness of your craft, it came off to me like you were just doing this as a hobby rather than, you know, you want to make a living off it or something like that. That's just my opinion, though. Other people may disagree. When it came to specific tracks, because I rated the tracks as well on the same scale. So the first track, Genesis, I didn't really give it a rating. I thought it sounded pretty good. You know, nothing too crazy about it. Distractions, the poem. I like the poem. So congratulations to Abigail Forbes, I think is the name. I like the poem, very good. And I thought JD delivered it pretty well too. Talk Pretty by Corey Donay. I gave it an A-. I like the track. Nothing, it didn't really strike to me as like a huge hit or anything. There was nothing wrong with it, so I liked it. I'm the One by Omego Melodies, of course. Like I said, it was my favorite song. It sounded the most professional to me. So congratulations to you, J Logic, Elton Bapp, I think is his name. All those who collaborated on the beat. Very good job there. I like it. So When I Write, Corey Donay and Mari Mar. I gave this track an A too. Corey Donay, to me, I actually want to hear a lot more from him. I don't know him at all. I don't know him from Adam, but I loved his rapping. I loved his verses throughout the whole project, actually. So I'd actually like to hear somewhat of a collaboration between him and 94 Dro, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I don't know how long you've been doing this, but you're talented. You're going to go places if you keep it up. Mari Mar also did very good. Very good. So A on that track. Pain. I had mixed feelings about Pain. I rated it a B. The most polished artist, not just on this song, but the whole project to me was actually 94 Dro. I can tell he's been doing a lot of work. I can tell he takes time and his delivery made sense. All of those things, you know, made a lot of sense. So keep going. He has a lot of good music out, by the way. I already listened to 94 Dro. Yeah, so he was the most polished. I wanted to rate this song higher, but the auto-tune was out of tune toward the end of the song. So I don't know who mixed that song or who mastered it or whatever, but it was out of tune, especially the very last chorus when the singer is going, I'ma do me, I think his name was Hatch, I'ma do me, and then it goes, I'ma do me. Those notes were out of key according to the chord that was played. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just ask me later on. Studio Shenanigans, I gave it an F. Quite frankly, yeah, I gave it an F. It sounded like KJ didn't really care. The freestyle, I guess, wasn't bad in the sorts that it was better than probably what I would do. But it really did hurt the project big time. I mean, I could tell that you Omego Melodies worked really hard on this. All the artists worked really hard on it, and it seemed like they took what they were doing seriously. But then this track just kind of brought everything else down. Again, that's just my opinion. I didn't really care for it. So yeah. Oh, so the person that surprised me. Yeah, Shavion. You surprised me, sir. So if you're watching this video, please keep working. I knew you were good, but I didn't know you were that good. Your verse it sounded like you have been doing this a long time, but I can hear where there's so much more potential for you. I encourage Shavion to keep working, and I encourage you to kind of like work, since I know you as an artist, work on like more diversity of your flows. Because every time I hear you, you rap kind of fast, which I ain't saying it's a problem like that. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But just, you know, I'd like to see that you have more in that regard. I'd say you surprised me though. Your verse was excellent. It went with the song in a very excellent manner. And like I said, just keep working, because I could do a video about you in itself. But yeah, so general thoughts here. JD, very smart mind. You have a lot of potential. You just need more reps. You know, I can tell that you are very young in this, but that's not wrong. You're very young, but don't stop. You know, there's a difference between someone that you can tell is not very, that can't do this, doesn't have what it takes. You're not that person. You have what it takes. Just keep growing. Get a little more mature. Get a little more secure. I could hear some insecurity here and there throughout the project in different places. This was actually a really solid start. Really, huge congratulations to everybody. Like I said, this is a very good project. I didn't expect it to be trash, but quite honestly, I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. So I'm very, very glad in that respect. I've listened to the thing probably about 10 times now. Not just for review purposes, but I love to study music. So keep it up. Good job to everybody. Good work. Really. Check out Genesis by Omego Melodies. I think it's on every single streaming platform right now. Every single one of them. So go check it out. So that's like Spotify. I think it's on YouTube as well. Google Play, iTunes, Apple Music, all those things. So go check it. And thanks for watching the video. I forgot to give the actual rating for the album. This is my first time, so charge it to my head, not to my heart. But my overall rating for this project was actually, I said 2 ratings. If I count KJ's track, the project is a C-. C-, because that track was that bad compared to the rest. But if I omit that track, like if I just called KJ's track like a bonus track or something like that, then I would actually give this project an A-. Yeah. So it's still an A. And KJ, I know you. I know you're really good too. Like, you have a great song out. I can't remember the name of it right now, but he has great music out. So in that sense, like I said, it just kind of hurt the rest of the project. That's all I wanted to say before I forgot. So bye.